Hey, welcome to this week's video. There are things that I see in businesses that when they're doing really well, it's really easy to become complacent. And who wouldn't fault you for that? Because you work as a business owner, you work really hard. But in this video, I'm going to show you a way that you can kind of check yourself to see, make sure that you're not being too complacent in your business. Okay, let's get started. An analogy of being complacent is in the airline industry. As pilots, they spend a lot of time in training. And one of the things that they do is every so often, I think it's like 9 months, they have to go to their corporate location and they have an inspector, usually maybe an FAA agent or somebody at their company, basically ride along with them and give them a check ride. And during those check rides, they're going to go through different things to kind of test them on different scenarios that may or may not happen while they're actually, in the actual world flying the airplane. And so they do these check rides to kind of make sure that they're constantly training because in flying an airplane, if if you keep flying and you don't have any incidents time after time again, you kind of get complacent. And they don't want the pilots to get that. They want them to constantly be prepared if something does go wrong in the unlikely event that it goes wrong because actually flying an airplane is even safer than riding in an elevator, if you would believe that. So the same can be said for your business. You have to periodically do some checks to make sure that things are going the way you expect. And if they don't, what is it that you're going to do? So first I want to talk about fixed versus variable costs. And you'll see why I want to talk about that as we go on. But the variable costs are costs that you basically incur to get your product out the door. Those could be, material costs, labor costs, direct labor to build or manufacture the product that you have, indirect labor to help with the supervise or help with other areas to bring in revenue, to getting that revenue out the door, consumables, things like that that you have to incur or you will incur directly because of the revenue and sales that you have obtained. Whereas if you have fixed costs are going to be costs that you incur basically to keep the lights on. They're operating costs. They're things like rent, the facilities that you have, their insurance, their G&A wages that you have, utilities, things like that. And so those are fixed costs. There's also this concept of semi-fixed costs, or you might hear step costs. And those are costs as your business grows, you may and you would incur those expenses like I need a larger space. If my sales grow to a certain level, I'm going to have to get more space, or I'm going to have to add a lot more labor, things like that. So let's talk about it in terms of an example. Let's say that in this case, I have on the screen here that your revenue is 930,000. Your margin, which is your sales minus your variable costs as a percentage of sales, is 44%. Your fixed costs in this case, in this example, is $325,000. And so if you want to calculate your break even, what you would do is you would take your fixed costs divided by your margin, and that would give you the minimum amount of sales that you have to obtain in order to make sure that you break even. Anything above that is going to be profit. And so that gives you what I call safety margin. And then you can calculate, based on your revenue margin and cost, what's your pre-tax profit, in this case 84,200 in my example, and your pre-tax percentage of revenue is 9%, which I like to see that as 10%, but 9% is still pretty good. I like to see between 10 and 15, but it's good. So now that you have your actual numbers, what we're going to do is we're going to do a check ride. We're going to say, all right, what are we going to do if certain things happen in the business, and plan for that. So let's look at it as best case scenario. Revenues are going to increase 20%. I think I can get my margin to 50%. And in order to support that increase in revenue, I'm going to have to add, some costs. I worked for a company a long time ago, and their slogan was a march to a billion, and a billion in revenue. And we had to constantly think of what is it that we are going to do to help support the business when they get to $1 billion? What are the systems, the things that we need to put in place to be able to support that revenue? And if you're going to grow 20%, you got to think the same way. I'm going to have some more fixed costs, maybe IT costs or things, sales I'm going to have to do as far as support. And this exercise will get you to start thinking, okay, what am I going to do in this case scenario if that happens? And so in this case, you can see how those numbers will kind of shake out, and what your pre-tax profit is. So you don't stop there. You want to look at, okay, well, likely based on the trends I'm seeing, this is where I think we're going to come out, and maybe we're going to get 10% increase in sales. I feel fairly confident that those numbers are going to happen. So what am I going to do in order to adjust my business in order to be able to support and deliver and not suffer any consequences of not delivering customer service? If I get 10% increase in sales, what am I going to do? And then you can guess it. What happens if, worst case scenario, something happens in the economy, something else happens in the industry, that revenues go down 15%? Where is it that I'm going to have to adjust fairly quickly to get to at least breaking even, and then start to adjust so that I can adjust to this new level of revenues if it's permanent, or how am I going to get those revenues to increase? So as you can see, planning is really important. And just as an airline pilot goes through a check ride, you as a business owner should go through checking your numbers to see how am I going to react when certain things happen. And I need to get myself prepared, but also my team prepared, and get them involved. If things do change, the expectation is they need to be able to quickly adapt as well. And then you constantly review that. You got to be prepared. So if you like this video, it'd be awesome if you hit that thumbs up, and also subscribe. Okay? I thank you for watching the video, and I will catch you on the next one.